Live from the Findlay Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go on this Wednesday. Cofield and Company, World Cup. We're tracking it. USA plays tonight. We'll get you the details on what's going on with the USA against Bosnia-Herzegovina. We got a game happening as we speak that got real dramatic. Remember, this is the summer of giveaways. Our Lotus Summer of Fun is going down. You got to send in the code word of the day. We got domestic trips or $3,000 to a lucky winner each week. It's brought to you by Terribles and Baylaw Injury Attorneys and ESPN Las Vegas. This week's trip is to South Dakota, Yellowstone, and such. And the code word of the day is blue. Blue, like the color. Blue. 702-364-1100. Not BLEW. You send that in. They'll probably still qualify you. But blue. Blue is the code word of the day. I got so excited about the rundown today, I basically didn't fill in the top of the show. But we got a lot to get to. I got to start out with, because we're going to go to Santa Clara here in less than 15 minutes with Arash Markazi, who's been covering all sorts of soccer in the World Cup up and down the West Coast from Seattle to Santa Clara to L.A. Speaking of the West Coast, this will be the first year of the new Pac-12, which is not the old Pac-12, let's be honest, but the branding will probably help them. UNLV turned down the Pac-12 2 or 3 times. We'll see what happens down the road. I still believe that the Pac-12 and the Mountain West will all be in the same group in 5 years, and this conference realignment stuff and the money they paid is nonsense. So breaking news. Brian Dutcher actually broke this at last year's Mountain West Conference Basketball Media Day that the Pac-12 would have its basketball tournament in Las Vegas. It is now official. 2-year deal. Pac-12 will be here with their men's basketball tournament, and I assume women's. MGM Grand Garden Arena will be the spot because, frankly, the Fortress T-Mobile is too much. It's too big. They will be here this coming year. It is a 2-year deal. This is something that is backed by the LVCVA, our Visitors and Convention Authority. Can we all be objective and not smash the LVCVA and say, hey, you know what, this is a good event for Vegas, so yeah, spend money on it, that's a good thing. And put aside the split, the disloyal 5. I'm not going to say UNLV got left behind because it turned down the Pac-12. Are we cool with this event being here?
More basketball, the better to me, Cofield.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with it. Again, it's not my favorite venue where it's going to be, but putting it at T-Mobile would be silly.
Yeah.
It's too big. And they'd have to do the curtain off the upper tank thing, even though I'm sure Gonzaga fans and San Diego State fans would claim they'd sell the whole thing out. They wouldn't. I would have preferred it over at Mandalay Bay, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
I think Gonzaga, depending on the setup, actually could pump in 10,000 plus, depending on the kind of season it has.
Of their national championship contender.
They brought in 6,500, 7,000 to the Orleans consistently. So now they're moving over to the Pac-12. So I think they can bring a big crowd. Here's one of the things that irks me more than a little bit is the note that the top 2 seeds will receive double buys to the semifinals of the event. You like that?
Well, it tells me something, though, Cofield, whether I like it or not. You know what it tells me? It tells me that this league really wants to protect its top teams, like the WCC had done forever, because that's what that conference tournament was, right? Gonzaga and St. Mary's, more times than not, got the double buy, got the whatever buy it was to the semifinal. And they're just trying to protect their top teams. And after last year, the Mountain West got 1 last year in the NCAA tournament. The WCC got 2. Got 3, because Santa Clara got there also. But it took a special year from Santa Clara to get the 3rd team in. They're not looking at themselves as a Power 5. This league is not looking at themselves as that, and that's the biggest tell for me is that that you're putting your top 2 teams through to the semifinals. you're telling us right off the bat, hey, we don't look at ourselves as a Power 5 conference. That's what I get from this.
My initial thought was, well, San Diego State is finally in a conference that it can bully. Because you remember, via their writer, Mark Ziegler at the SDUT, Dutcher tried to float this idea right before the tournament a couple of years ago, which was completely absurd, that you're getting a double bye into the semifinals, especially with the balance of the Mountain West Conference. Now, that said, I can blame just San Diego State in this scenario, but Gonzaga is used to getting the bye or double bye, so they got that in the West Coast Conference. But I don't think it's great for the conference, and I know they have an uneven number of teams, so I think they're at 9, right? So
they're 9.
Coming up with a field for 9 or a bracket for 9, maybe 1 and 2 should get 1 bye. I think a double bye is absurd, and I also think it reduces the kind of dare to dream that teams 6 through 9 will have. But I get your point. You're right. Maybe they are just admitting that, hey, you know what? We have to protect what's going on against the selection committee, and the best regular season teams need to have an easier path. Now, here's the problem. What happens if it is balanced and Gonzaga and San Diego State don't run away with the conference?
Well, then you might get more bids. It might mean that the league is respected more. That might actually.
There's also a benefit to.
It could be. It could actually be.
Giving an easier path to 3 and 4 potentially.
Yeah, it could be. Look, it's.
Well, they would only meet up in the semis.
There's a lot of things that could happen here. First off, I think that there's 9 teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
Just go classic 1 through 8 and not have the 9 seed there. Like,
I don't like that.
I'm okay with that. Like the other power conferences don't have everyone go. I'm okay with that. Like. If Texas State wins 2 conference games in this new conference, like they don't need to waste a trip here for them. Like that's fine. You can go ahead with it. But look, an extra day of gate by doing this. Now, granted, if it's Texas State versus Fresno, well, actually, you know what? I don't even know who would even be the least draw of anyone, because everyone else, like. Utah State's not going to be bad, and they're going to show up. Colorado, well, I guess it would be Colorado State in that circumstance, right? They probably traveled the worst of the old guard for conference tournaments, but they have been good in recent years, except for last year. And for Farouk Manesh has a clue. So I don't know. It's another day of gate. You protect your top teams. I understand why they did this, and they are putting in blinking lights to me, Cofield. We are not a power conference league anymore. This is the way we protect Gonzaga, and whether it's San Diego State or Utah State, or if Oregon State gets their act together with their new head coach, we're protecting our top programs to make sure they have to do as little work as possible to get to the final, and in essence, make it easier to get our best teams in the NCAA tournament.
Kind of insulting that we didn't even mention Utah State, who arguably has had the best program in the last 5 years in the Mountain West, now over at the Pac-12, and Boise State, who has high expectations. CSU is also on the rise. So I will guarantee you, come tournament time, when there's a double bye, these other schools are going to be screaming bloody murder. And the other thing I don't like about the LVCVA in this mix, if it is San Diego State and, more importantly, Gonzaga that you're most interested in getting into town, you're only getting 2 days of travel.
Well, it's the
so is that money well spent? Why not have them here for an entire tournament, and at least you get a sprinkling of a few thousand fans? Maybe not San Diego State, but Gonzaga fans would probably come for the whole time.
Yeah, but you know the deal with the Gonzaga fans. They show up anyway early when the tournament was at the Orleans for the WCC. They still show up. So, again, it's just a difference for Gonzaga fans. Instead of staying at the Orleans, they're staying at the MGM Grand for this tournament now.
And I should throw in the second best fan base in terms of turnout is actually Utah State.
Yeah, and Utah, look, they'll show up too.
So I guess for a money-making entity, if they finish third and they don't have a double bye,
yeah,
I think that's a screw job on them. But we'll see how this works out. I liked your thought on the fact that they're admitting, hey, we got to protect the top 2 teams. I don't think they need to, because I think there's enough balance here. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll get to other news on the Pac-12, because we got news on the football side to get to that I think is pretty interesting. And, of course, we'll have a lot of Mountain West talk later today. As I will mention, before we get to Arash Markazi and LeBron and the Lakers and the World Cup, there was a picture circulating today on social media of a UNLV basketball player, with crutches. That's Tyler Harris. He's a 6'7" transfer in from Vandy. Before that, Washington. Last year was a bench player for Vandy. The year before, in the Big Ten for Washington, he averaged 12 points a game. It was one of their bigger gets. He's going to be a premium wing guy and a guy who probably can shoot in excess of 38 or 40% from three, confirming from sources that Tyler Harris has an MCL injury that he suffered in their workouts because they've been in the gym since June 8th at Mendenhall. I think that's the official date. And he suffered an MCL injury. He will be out for much of the summer. So that's good compared to last year where Josh Pastner thought he had a big and a guard, Myles Shea and Dembele, ready to go at the beginning of the season. And they tried to come back, never came back. But he's expected back before the beginning of the regular season. Up next, we go out to California. Arash Markazi is in to talk about the World Cup and also a big day for the Lakers. LeBron info yesterday. He's out. And today they went on a signing frenzy.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, well, nothing delivers like the NBA during this first week of this tampering period, and we got breaking news, we think, on Jaylen Brown. We'll tell you about that in 10 minutes, and it kind of sets up my Dare to Dream list for LeBron James about different landing spots he should consider, because at this age, you want to win a title, go somewhere where you can win a title. Arash Markazi is in California. He's been covering the LeBron saga and a really busy day with the Lakers, but let's start out, Arash, with where you are, another World Cup game, and I think you're in Santa Clara, right?
I am in Santa Clara. We got USA playing in their Group of 32 game, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Obviously a massive game for the U.S. First chance to win a knockout stage game since 2002. So, just got to the press box here, and nice. A lot of, goes without saying, a ton of USA fans here.
I cannot keep track of everywhere you've been for specific games. I know you've been in L.A. and Santa Clara and Seattle. What game were you there for Santa Clara? Is it multiple games, and what was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, so there was Jordan, Algeria was the last time I was in Santa Clara. Obviously, different vibe. Every Team USA game has been incredible. Just the atmosphere. Los Angeles was good for that first one, and even the last one against Turkey. But the atmosphere in Seattle was next level. So that's the really big thing here. If USA can win, they will be advancing to the round of 16 game, which will be in Seattle, and it's just a great soccer environment and city, and the bars bleed into the stadium, and it's just an amazing atmosphere. Very much different than Levi's and SoFi, which are nice stadiums but kind of secluded.
How secluded is Santa Clara? Because I haven't been to that stadium. Is there anything around it at all? Is it closer to... I've never been to Gillette either. I assume that Gillette Stadium is a nightmare around the stadium, but maybe it's built up a little bit. Is there anything around Santa Clara?
Yeah, similar vibe to Gillette in the sense that there's some mixed use. There's a theme park, although the theme park is closed when there's a game. There's hotels. It is by far and away, just because I've been in a position where I've needed to take a Uber and Lyft, by far and away the worst Uber Lyft situation in all of the country, maybe the world. The Uber Lyft lot is over a mile away. It's not a convenient place. It is really rough. I would say Seattle is the best in terms of just you literally across, not even across the street, just 20 yards away, there's a bar and a place you can hang out, grab some food and drink post game. Santa Clara, they're trying to change that at SoFi, but even SoFi, there's just not a ton there at the moment. They're trying to change that, but just a tough spot for a fan pre and post game.
So for Santa Clara, most people, and again, USA is playing tonight against Bosnia Herzegovina. For pregame, you're how far away? You're in San Jose. That's a haul, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was San Jose downtown pregame. They had a nice fan fest there, but again, that's I don't know, a half-hour drive with traffic. It's just not convenient. And so, what happened with a lot of these NFL stadiums is that, it was a big land grab. It's we're going to, give you this land. And it's a little bit kind of like what they're doing with the Bears. What a perfect location sort of in Chicago right by the water. But, it looks like that they may go somewhere where they're just going to get a ton of land, tax breaks, and all that stuff.
All right, do we have updates on the get-in price? You're always good on this, as USA is set to play tonight at 5 o'clock in Northern California. Arash Markazi's with us. What are we looking at to get in?
Yeah, it bottomed out at about 1,300 yesterday, and then it's back up to like 18 to 1,900. So, listen, I think all the Team USA games are going to get crazy. If it's Belgium and USA next week in the round of 16 in Seattle, that'll be the most expensive up until if they advance, and then that'll be another crazy one. By the way, the Belgium-Senegal game has been out of control. It was 2-0 Senegal in the 85th minute, and then Belgium scores 2 goals late to tie it up.
Crazy game. Honestly, Arash, this you've been to 3 of the sites. There was so much noise pre-tournament. Oh, the crowds aren't going to be there. It's too expensive. Blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And look, you mentioned it earlier. You were at Algeria against Jordan in that building, and even coming across on television, the environments for these games, even the lesser games, and now that we're into the knockout stage, it really has been a tremendous tournament all the way through. And again, we're getting another dandy in front of a full crowd in Seattle, and I know there'll be not room to breathe basically in Santa Clara tonight.
Yeah, and I think, Jeff, you saw it firsthand. I think you went to the Switzerland-Bosnia-Herzegovina game, which I thought like a weekday 12 noon game at SoFi. Like I wonder what the vibe's going to be. And you were there. I mean, it was packed. It was amazing. Awesome. So I think that's been the real testament to the World Cup. It's not just, again, I think we all knew, like even the biggest skeptic knew, that the weekend, primetime game with the big teams, like those were always going to do well. What's sort of, I guess, even surprised me is sort of like these weekday 12 noon game on a Tuesday or Wednesday. They've done well. I mean, like every game is sold out or at least close to it. The atmosphere has been amazing. What I have discovered, just from someone who kind of just tracks ticket prices, is that I think like everyone went big for the group stage, and you're seeing quasi, when I say affordable, it's not over $1,000. You can get in for under $500 in the round of 32 and even some of these round of 16 games. Now, where it's going to get crazy again is a semifinal and the final. Those will be off the charts big, but again, I think we all expect sort of, France, Spain, Argentina, those teams to be there.
Arash, we got to go to it. LeBron is not returning to the Lakers. Before we get your take on where you think he ends up, just put a cap on what this run since 2018 for LeBron with the Lakers looked like and completes to you.
Yeah, listen, I know that it wasn't as successful as some people wanted it to be. I think if you covered the Lakers the previous 5 years prior to LeBron getting there, like I have, like you totally remember them being one of the worst teams in the league, them not even being able to sign mid-tier guys. Like they were in a really bad spot. And so like when I look back at LeBron's time and the fact that they won a title, they went to 2 Western Conference finals, during a time period, by the way, that there has not been a repeat champion. There's not been a team that has won more than one title from 2019 to now. Like, so it's not just the Lakers that did not win more than one. But I get it from, if you're a Lakers fan and you're used to winning back-to-back or a three-peat or 2 out of 3 years, I get it. I am surprised that him and Davis didn't do more together, but at least they got that one. And, I mean, the other thing for me, I never expected him to play this long. I mean, like if you told me back in 2018 he'd be in Los Angeles 8 years, I'd be like, first of all, you're crazy. Second of all, like, what kind of player is he going to be? The fact that he's still one of the best players in the world is a testament to him. But I definitely think when you look at what the Lakers did today, they were ready to move on, and he was ready to move on. They both wanted to move on.
All right, let's talk about the biggest move today because they made a bevy of moves the Lakers did. High salary and lots of draft capital move, but they really wanted Walker Kessler, the 7-footer.
So Walker Kessler is a guy that for really since they got Luka, but certainly over the past years, the guy that they've targeted as like the perfect player for Luka Doncic. And so like when you look at Walker Kessler, it's really important, not to just look at his numbers now or the fact that he really didn't play a year ago. they just view him as the perfect player to be on this team and to play with Luka. Did they overpay in terms of draft capital? I mean, probably, but listen, I mean, this is what they had to do to get a young player. I mean, he's 24 years old. He was a restricted free agent. I mean, he was not a guy that they, to be honest, that I thought that they were going to get. And when they traded for him, I basically said they probably had to trade a ton of draft capital, and they did. So this is the benefit, by the way, of being able to get Luka for next to no draft capital, basically a first-round pick. So, like, you keep all your first-round picks, you keep your pick swaps, and you put all your chips into the center of the table for a move like this. Is it going to result in a championship? But you're probably not. But, like, I do think they're in a better place now than they were before.
I love free agency in the NFL and the NBA because things get crazy early, high-priced guys go, lots of moves happen, and people freak out. The average fan freaks out like, what's my team doing? Nothing's happening. And you know that my significant other is a Lakers fan, and so I get home last night. Free agency starts officially. Tampering starts at 3:30. I get home at like 6:45. She's reading me people, like Lakers fans who were like, what are we doing? We're not doing anything. And I was like, it just started. It just started. I mean, today they had as busy a day as you can have, and now more pieces are around Luka. They get a quality, again, younger, big, and Mamu. And Colin Sexton is a nice pickup. Grimes is a good pickup. Today they got real busy, and hey, if there's a lack of trust, I don't see it in Rob Pelinka. He basically got to do what he wanted. Now, I do want to find out, Arash, how much of a hand new management has in all these moves and decisions.
I think where new management comes into play is basically like, you know, we need to be at the cap, like that first apron, like we are going to spend. And I think that the biggest thing is like they and it's not just Rob, you know, they brought in some really bright guys into the front office as well to kind of like look at who's available, look at this team. The biggest thing to keep in mind is, you know, after they made the Luka trade, it was a weird collection of talent because it was not totally Luka's team. Like LeBron was still there, right? And a lot of pieces that they got for LeBron were still there. So it was half Luka's team, half LeBron's team. This was a full reset. This was them looking at, okay, Luka was able to lead the Dallas Mavericks to lead the NBA Finals a couple of years ago. How can we put together the perfect team around Luka, around Reeves, around Kessler? We'll see how it pans out. But these were the guys that they targeted, and it's very clear now, by the way, like the timing of like LeBron moving on. I think that was the Lakers giving the LeBron the respect of saying, hey, listen, we are turning the page. I think you have too, but we're not going to let this play out. Like, unless you want to come back on a minimum contract. And to be honest, from from a chemistry point of view, that wasn't going to work. Like, they basically, I'm pretty convinced at this point, when you look at all the moves the Lakers made one day later, this was them saying, hey, LeBron, maybe you should like announce that you are moving on, and we'll thank you for your time, because we have turned the page at this point.
Last minute, Arash, so let's get your guessing cap on. And we've heard a lot of speculation about what LeBron is looking for: respect, money, a chance to win. If it is just a chance to win, if you were LeBron, where would you go? If you're going to accept $3 to $7 million for a year or the next 2 years, where would you go?
You know, it's a great question, because I liked the Warriors talk when it was like Anthony Davis going there with a trade where like the Warriors would trade a ton of their draft capital and Jimmy Butler or something like that. If Davis isn't a part of that equation, it's basically LeBron, Steph, and Draymond. I don't think that gets him closer to a championship. I like sort of the storybook finale of him going to a Cleveland, a team that loses to the Knicks in the conference finals. Now, do I think that they win it all? No, but like if LeBron's playing in the conference finals, or if LeBron's playing in the NBA finals against Victor Wembanyama or against Shea, like that's a great finale to him. I think if he's playing meaningful games, and what's a meaningful game? Conference finals, NBA finals. I think with Cleveland, it gives them a chance to do that. So I think it's between the Warriors and the Cavs in terms of the easiest pathway to be a champion or at least on a contending team, I think it's in Cleveland.
Arash, the storybook is 2 years with the Spurs and 2 rings, and his final year as a player-owner in Las Vegas.
Listen, I really thought the Vegas thing was for sure going to happen. It may still happen with him getting a sliver of a team, like a Jay-Z Brooklyn Nets, like 0.5%. But I just don't see him going to the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Maybe maybe he talks to Chris Paul, and Chris Paul's like, actually, it's not as crazy as like it's actually like a fun place to live. But I think it's between Cleveland and the Warriors.
Arash, we know you're a busy guy. We appreciate your on-site coverage. Thank you. Enjoy the World Cup game tonight. We'll see you.
All right, see you. Bye.
There he is, Arash Markazi. We'll get into the potential landing spots, but that one thing that people could mention it, because Alex mentioned this yesterday, Alex White, and Arash just mentioned it, and we'll take a time out here, does LeBron really have to worry about where he's living? He's going to live in a top-notch place. What's he going to rent something somewhere? He's still going to live in L.A. It's a brief stop-off for a couple of years. Like, quality of life, and I'm very big on quality of life, but as I said yesterday, I'll say it again, like, I'm not worth $800 million, So, like, weather's important to me. Like, he can buy whatever happiness he wants. LeBron, go and win rings.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Well, we don't have to, and we weren't going to, spend all day today on LeBron James and speculation, although it's a lot of fun, and it makes this part of the sports season awesome. I love the NBA tampering period, free agency. There's so many changes, dare to dream. It's a league now where, you guys used to tell me in the audience it's boring. The same teams win every year. Well, they fixed that because they've had 8 champions. 8 champions in the last 8 seasons. We still have more big names who are on the trade market, need to decide where they're going to land. We saw Giannis go to the Heat last week. John Morant, big name or not, he's going to Portland. Anthony Davis, probably going to wind up somewhere else other than Washington. Jaylen Brown was a guy we talked about a couple days ago about what's going on with him. Why did the Bucks turn down that deal from the Celtics? John Browner made a great point the other day. John is also from the Sporting Tribune, as you hear a lot of the Sporting Tribune contributors right here on Cofield and Company. Arash was just on, Arash Markazi. John brought up at the end of his Jaylen Brown point, where is Jason Tatum in all this? We haven't heard bupkis from the supposed leader of the team and the running mate with Jaylen Brown. And I think there was a lot more going on behind the scenes with Brown and angst and troubles. And I don't know if it was coach or Tatum or him talking too much, or his war with Stephen A. Smith, which, hey, we're all enjoying that. But Jaylen Brown is on the move. It's official now, and this deal is a real head-scratcher.
It is a truly horrific trade by Boston. It's a horrible trade by Boston. Jaylen Brown's not only getting traded, he's going to Philadelphia. So you trade him within, and James and I were talking about this during the break. The Knicks just won the championship. But the Sixers are the team that the Celtics hate the most, and the Celtics fan base hates the most as well. And you got back Paul George, who is a shell of himself at this point. He was probably Philadelphia's 4th or 5th best player last year. 2 1s and 2 2s. The problem with those 2 1s is neither of them are the Clippers picks that the Sixers have, which those Clipper picks are going to be pretty darn good moving forward because the Clippers are probably going to be mediocre to perennial lottery the next few years. And 2031 unprotected Philly first, 28 first-round pick that can convert into a swap as well, and then 2 2s, which who cares? But I don't understand this from Boston's perspective unless it was, hey, we need to get Jaylen Brown out of here because of what you just said. where there is something going on with him and Jason Tatum, where the two of them don't like each other or something along those lines, or Joe Mazzulla doesn't like Jaylen Brown, or they just didn't want to deal with Jaylen Brown opening his mouth on his Twitch stream moving forward, or whatever it may be. By the way, it makes those comments he had about Embiid even more interesting now.
What were the comments?
Well, he trashed Embiid for flopping after that series. So, unbelievably bizarre job by Boston. I'll give Brad Stevens the benefit of the doubt because he knows what he's doing, but this feels like a horrible deal and also makes a heck of a lot of sense why Milwaukee didn't take him back, because they realized, well, you know what, he's not good enough value back for Giannis, and thought the package that, again, I didn't think was as good as others thought back for Giannis. But crazy, crazy deal. Crazy deal. And it also, to me, takes the Celtics from perennially a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference to right now is going through it. They're the 7th or 8th best team in the Eastern Conference right now.
For now.
That's why I said right now.
Yeah. I think this sets up other moves. But let's stick on Brown for a second. How bad was the trade? How bad were the trade offers around the league?
Not good, obviously.
I mean, Paul George isn't useless, but this is not what you expect back for a guy who had a very good season, led the Celtics to a borderline great season considering they didn't have Jason Tatum for 2/3 of the season. And this is the value the league puts on Jaylen Brown? Wow. So we're going to find out a lot more about what's been going on behind the scenes with Jaylen Brown. But the Celtics have to have something else lined up, right?
You would imagine.
So what do they have lined up?
I have no clue. I just have no idea what the right move is. And again, it's still early. There's plenty of things that can happen over the next few weeks. But I don't know. I mean, do you dare call LeBron if you're Boston? But if I'm LeBron, I wouldn't want to go there. I go back to how you ended the last segment on LeBron, where who cares where you go? You're going to live in Los Angeles still. Yeah. Or, if he decides to go to Miami, if there's money there, if they can figure out the money, okay, you're going to live in Miami. But, if he elects to go to San Antonio or Detroit or Cleveland or wherever, he's going to have his primary residence in L.A. anyway. So
why wouldn't LeBron want to go to play for the Celtics?
Because I don't think they're close.
Well, they added.
I just don't think they're that close.
They added Mitchell Robinson today as a big.
Okay.
What was the other move they made today? Remind me.
It was a small one, but I see it shows how much that moved the needle to me. But
I mean, what if it's LeBron and someone else is added to the mix?
Oh, it was Conley, Mike Conley, who's 70 years old.
Rotational point guard. That's fine.
But I don't know. I don't think they're particularly close, Cofield. I don't think they're close, especially with what the East looks like right now. I don't think they're as close unless if they have one other move in there that is going to surprise us, which they could, which they absolutely could. It's Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I think they're in play for LeBron.
I still think San Antonio makes the most sense by far for LeBron. I don't even think it's particularly close.
It would be a great landing spot. I don't know what he wants. To me the pie in the sky storybook thing with Cleveland, I'm not going to say it's a waste of time. I understand why he'd be drawn there, but I don't like that at all. So what's going on here with Belgium and Senegal? So Senegal was leading into the 4th or 5th minute, 2-0. Belgium storms back to tie it in regulation. Now we're minute 123.
Well, we just had a huge controversy here.
Yeah,
where they are giving Belgium a penalty kick here at the end of stoppage time, here at the end of extra time, in stoppage time, and to me it was a very soft penalty call where it was a ball across the box, and the guy on Senegal was going for the ball and he barely clipped the guy on Belgium's ankle. They went to VAR, and now Lukaku, who played 35 minutes all year because of injury, has won earlier today, has a chance to send Belgium through. And by the way, this is of great importance to the U.S., assuming they handle their business tonight, because the winner of this game will play the U.S. Bosnia winner on Monday in Seattle. So
you're rooting for what, PKs?
I'm rooting for PKs because I bet this thing to go to PKs.
Oh, okay.
I actually think Belgium's the better opponent for the U.S.
Oh, you do?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I think they are more traditional than Senegal. But Senegal's defending has been so leaky this whole tournament, and it really bit them in the behind here. Now, assuming Lukaku buries this and sends Belgium through, their defending will have done them in here in a game that they had absolutely no business losing, being up 2-0 in the 83rd.
We'll get to our A spotlight on the way back. We'll update you on what happens here with this penalty.
It's not going to be Lukaku, actually.
And the kick. But let's do a giveaway right now. Aviators Tacoma coming up on July 9th. Ticketmaster.com is where you get the tickets. 364-1100. Aviators tickets, caller 7.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, it's time for the A spotlight here before Justin Watkins is in next hour. From Battleborn Injury Lawyers, former public servant, voice of reason on Cofield and Company. So this Belgium-Senegal game in the World Cup, notes from Todd Furman here. 242 Pacific, Belgium was 98-1 to win. 249, 28-1, 253, 9-1. Those are all times, and the game just ended. Belgium won.
So that was probably for the regulation time. So draw gets home in the 90, but Belgium somehow manages to knock Senegal out. 3-2 is your final. There will be a lot of conversation about the decision from VAR again after the conversation on Monday where a lot of people thought that Germany got hosed by the video assistant referee. And there will be a lot of talk that Senegal got screwed by the video assistant referee in this match. But it's very simple, Cofield. Don't blow a two-goal lead when you're up 2-0 in the 83rd minute. Look, for the U.S.'s purposes, assuming business is handled tonight against Bosnia and Herzegovina, they'll play Belgium in Seattle on Monday. And quite frankly, I think seeing Belgium for the United States is a better matchup for them than Senegal would have been at this point, because Senegal's peak, I think, is much better than Belgium's peak. Belgium is more consistent, but their range, to me, is more compact, which is what you want to see if you're the U.S. in the round of 16 with a chance to move to the quarterfinal for only what would be the second time in the nation's history. And again, not counting 1930, but because that was a totally different format.
USA game on the three-way line, 5 o'clock it starts. As Jeff pointed out, this is for the first 90 minutes and extra time. USA to win, minus 295. Bosnia to win, plus 750. Draw, about 4-1. Do you have a bet?
No, I do not.
You're not going to play it?
No. Price is too expensive. You're laying too much of a price on the U.S., and look, I saw this Bosnian team in person. They held up for a long time against Switzerland. They are very physical. It will not be the easiest of matchups for the U.S., but it's a match that you're in your home nation. You will have a decided crowd advantage, even though the Bosnian fans are awesome and will be very, very loud themselves. But this is a match that you have to win, especially when the other two host nations, Canada did it in L.A. on Sunday, and Mexico did it last night in Mexico City against Ecuador, have advanced to the round of 16. You can't be the only host nation that doesn't make it to the round of 16, especially when you have all your games in your home nation, and you're playing a team that you're 40-plus spots better than Bosnia in the rankings. You got to find a way to get it done tonight, and I think the U.S. will. I don't think it will be as easy as some are making it out to be, but this is a match that I think the U.S. will win 2-0, 2-1, maybe 3-1, something in that pocket. They'll find a way to get it done, and I like their chances against Belgium. I still don't think this Belgium team is particularly good. They needed a miraculous comeback to pull this thing off here today.
We're headed towards A's baseball on ESPN Las Vegas. If you don't know, the LV Sports Network are 4 stations carry, well, not Raider Nation Radio 920, but 3 of the stations carry the A's games at different times. So ESPN Las Vegas is the home of the A's for this entire Dodger series that ends tonight. A's are not playing good baseball, and they're getting smoked by the Dodgers. They've lost 8 of 10. They start July looking for a fresh start. In this series, they've been outscored 18-7. Colby Thomas, who actually had a really good night last night, said of the Dodgers, they're a really good team. They don't make little mistakes. We just have to play better. Yes, bingo on all three. That was a nightmare. And it was embarrassing late because not only could the A's not hit, and Thomas finally got him going with a 2-run jack. I think it was a 2-run jack, whatever it was. Little bit. They finally got Wroblewski out of the game. They made Wroblewski look like a healthy Blake Snell. He was unreal. Double-digit strikeouts, was throwing up in the zone, 95, 96 miles an hour. His off-speed stuff was great. By the way, 1,000th regular season win for Dave Roberts, who's now in his 11th season, so probably headed towards, 1050 by the end of the season. Dodgers are awesome, and right now the A's are not. And we're really seeing the result, Jeff, of a pitching staff that was shaky to begin with at the beginning of the season. They're just wearing out. They just don't have enough arms. And, when a guy like Luis Severino goes down, it's like, oh, okay, well, he was throwing like a 4.17 ERA. He was coming around. But the thing with him is you lose him, it pushes everyone else up. Those innings now have to be eaten by someone else. He does eat innings, and they just don't have the starting pitching depth. And the relievers have been so inconsistent. Last night was just a freaking disaster. And then on top of that, I don't know if you watched the game, but I'm watching it, and then I turn on something else. I go back to it in the 7th inning, and I remember actually sitting here in studio when Townsy came on with Steve Sachs, on A's Cast, and they were talking about the lineup, and they're like, yeah, Joey Meneses in the outfield. I'm like, what? Like, you have all these outfielders. They have all these young outfielders. Now they're beat up in the outfield right now. Geloff being out as a utility guy, that hurts. But I think he hadn't played outfield in like 1,260 games. Meneses, nightmare. Just an absolute nightmare. He botched judging a fly ball on a bomb that was hit to the track. Then he just misplayed, a short hopper in front of him. That bounced off him and went all over the place. So, if you can't pitch, you're not hitting well. Because that was the other thing. Wroblewski was just dominating people. Nick Kurtz he had a tough time. Henry Bolte absolutely looked like a rookie. It was a mess.
Yeah, just...
Got to get pitching!
You just don't
got to get pitching. And my fear here, Jeff, sorry to cut you off, is I don't want this losing 8 of 10 and dropping to 40 and 46 and having the rest of the division, aside from the Angels, start running up on you and past you. I don't want this to be, well, you know what? The run at the beginning was good, but it's just not going to happen. There's no need to go out and get help. No, there is. Now, don't mortgage the farm, but get help. These guys deserve some help. But this has been a mess.
No, it's been, again, they have completely squandered what was a golden opportunity here. I mean, Texas and Seattle are leading the division at 44 and 43. 44 and 43. Like, you just needed a little bit of reasonable bullpen action, and you actually probably would be at the same record as them right now. Maybe even better.
Yeah.
So, look, we'll see, but I think what you said is absolutely a legitimate fear. Like, let's say they play the Marlins, who are the best team in baseball in June this weekend, as ridiculous as that sentence is. But this could very easily spiral, and this could be 41 and 49 by the end of the weekend, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, we're four weeks from the trade deadline, we might start selling. Like, that could happen.
364-1100, giveaway time, 4th of July weekend coming up. You want to go see a show at the pool at the Sahara. Ticketmaster.com is where you can get your tickets for Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth is coming up on the 4th at the Sahara, at the pool. It's a really cool venue. Caller 7 will win tickets. James will have you all hooked up with a pair of tickets to see Smash Mouth, Sahara, Las Vegas, on the 4th of July. 364-1100, 364-1100, caller 7.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, rolling on 4 o'clock hour. This hour every day is brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. A call from anywhere in the state of Nevada. Number is 766-1400. 775-766-1400 in the north. Justin Watkins in studio with us here. Jeff Parles is along for the ride and driving the bus, the ship, whatever. James is controlling things. So I know you guys are champing at the bit to keep talking about World Cup. I'm going to put it off for about a half an hour because we have a lot of stuff to get to. First of all, I don't even know if an apology is necessary, but because I think this is the goal of what we're doing. is to get people engaged. And after the show, we want to be a show that's kind of an on-demand show, and with our podcast at LV Sports Network, and also all the videos we put out. We put out a video last week.
Just destroyed my weekend.
Just giving a good take on this notion that the Ted Cruz bill is going to have something in there where the group of 6 schools will be blocked forever from moving to Power 4 level. Power 4 would be locked in. I thought you made a really good case, and it was like you had taken a big dump in everyone's cornflakes. I'm all for conversation on social media, but some of the people who were coming at Justin, I was like, what is wrong with you guys? Chill out. Can you have a discussion and be civil?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little weird. I have to say, I guess it's Twitter, so it's to be expected. But, I thought I gave quite a bit of caveats before I even started that conversation of saying I'm sure there are conversations going on behind the scenes. I'm sure there are markups going on and people lobbying for language and all of that. Having served in a building in which bills get passed, I know that what the public sees is rarely what's really going on behind the scenes. So I started there and said, but I can only have a document to look at. And as I look at it, it does not read to me like what the reporting is, which is fully locks the conferences and blocks G6 movement up to Power 4. And people went crazy on it. Everybody kept saying, Dellinger's been reporting. And I was like, I've got no problem with what he's reporting. Yeah. He's talking to people behind the scenes. I'm just reading the bill language. And then people are like, you don't know how to read. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, I'm the
finally you snap. You're like, have you written a bill before? Basically, have you served in office? Have you been a public servant? I didn't see an answer to that one.
No, I didn't ask the question. I just said, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one in this conversation who's drafted a bill and passed it into law.
Right.
I know how to read a bill. I know how to construct a bill. And I will say this. I mean, some of it was good stuff. I mean, for sure, some people were making some valid points. But what it really comes down to is this. I still stand behind my reading of the bill, number one. Number two, Dellinger's own reporting says that while there are people that read it differently on Capitol Hill,
right,
the people who have put forward the language intend it to block movement. Well, I'll just say this. That is drafters' intent. And for all the people that don't know how bills get made and how they get interpreted by courts, a drafter's intent means nothing. It means zero. The courts, in interpreting the language first, if it's plain language and they can understand it, that's what it means. Secondly, if it's vague and they can't understand it, they do not ever, ever, ever look to what did the drafter of the bill intend. What they look to is what did the legislature intend? What did the body intend when they passed it? And how do they know what that intent is? By the hearings that go forward, by what the bill sponsor says it means in response to questions, and how the members understand the language to be when they vote on it. But it has nothing to do with and who knows what this even means, the people who put forth the language. I don't even know what that means. I'm sure it's not the people who actually are in there drafting the language. Right. I'm sure it's not that.
Right.
So, from my perspective, I think that that's a good scoop. I do, from a reporting standpoint, but it has no impact whatsoever as to what the language actually says. The way I read the language is Power 4 conferences cannot merge. They cannot bring up and add to their conference if making the addition would destroy the qualifying membership of the conference they took from. So they can't do the Pac-10 again or Pac-12 again. They can't put them below membership requirements, 8 teams. That's how I read the bill.
Right.
That's how I still read the bill. That's how I read the bill after it got amended and passed through the committee. Now it's sitting on the desk. And what does that mean? People think that means, it's coming up for a vote. That's not what it means. It's not coming up for a vote. Not yet. It's just sitting on the desk. And the Senate majority leadership is not going to put it forward if they don't have the 60 votes because they don't want to have it blocked, or if they think that the House isn't going to pass it, and the House has already said, we're not passing this. Whatever that is, we're not doing that. So because, as we talked about last week, it's all fine and good for 50 senators who probably 35 to 40 of them have a Power 4 conference in their state to say, yeah, let's pass this.
Yeah.
But when you cut it into smaller pieces of 435 members, you don't have the majority of those members that have a power conference in their district, and they don't want to lock this in. I mean, look at the people who are in the power conference right now. Utah, BYU, TCU, they were all in the Mountain West 20 years ago. You got to allow for the movement for who's spending, who's investing, and who's doing well.
Yep. And I would like to say, just be more civil. But here's the thing for social media and some of the folks who are going at Justin last week. I can say it, but guess what?
Oh, the glasses are off.
I'm gonna see you at Mountain West Conference Media Day in 3 weeks. Keep that energy. Because when people hear that and they're like, am I going to go and power bomb someone through a table? No. Will I go up to someone and say, watch yourself? It's not a physical threat.
Yeah.
But, be professional, okay? If you want to fight with some jabronis, here's my thing. On Cofield and Company, everyone knows the crew that we've had over the years. We, for the most part, stick together. It doesn't mean we go out with, Anchorman style and we're going to be twirling the freaking baton with the spike on it. But I might if I can get it into the pumps. No, I just thought the silly attacks and these are real people you're talking to. Be freaking adults. Let's move on. You're wearing a Vegas Golden Knights hat today, and the Knights have been pretty active.
Yep.
The last few days.
Yep.
Let's start first with they added a higher profile defenseman from Pittsburgh. What do you think?
I still can't see any downside of this move. They get Korzak, who they had term on, and they bring over, I think, a more established stay-at-home defenseman, which they need, in Witherspoon from Pittsburgh. They're both Witherspoon's in his prime. He's on an expiring contract, and I'm sure he's looking to get paid, and maybe he only plays for us for a year, but you get the cap down. They retain 50% of the salary. I think you actually get the better player. So I don't know. I have yet to see anybody who thinks that this one's a bad move, and I don't even know if you know this, but while you've been on air, they just traded Keegan Kolesar too for 2 picks. So
I didn't say it.
That
Okay.
legitimately just happened. Yeah.
just happened. Yeah. So we got a third and a 7th.
Yeah.
Send
From
them to
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yep.
Yep. So Kolesar, hey man, you got a cup here. One of the original guys. I got nothing but fond memories of him, but I also think probably a good move. We got to stock up on some picks. We got to be able to free up some cap space and make some moves.
Why were there so many people, and I'm not saying it was the majority, but who were very critical of Rasmus Andersson because they decided, hey, we want this guy, we want him around, and he's going to get paid.
I mean, they knew that, right? That was if you didn't sign him, then you look at that trade and go, why did you give up so many assets for a person you didn't sign long term? It would be crazy amount of assets to give up unless you believed he was a long term solution. I'll just say this, sort of down the I do agree during the season he did struggle at times, but when you looked at the underlying numbers for him during the playoffs, him and Shea Theodore were our 2 best defensemen, and traditionally, when you get somebody traded that's a high-profile player, that first year, when it's a partial year, does not always go great. Jack Eichel didn't have a great first, partial year after he came back for surgery, and everybody was kind of like, uh-oh, did we make a mistake there? So let's see what next season looks like before we judge whether or not, he's the answer. But I mean, it didn't surprise me. People have been reporting 7 years, $8.5 million since we traded for him. I think that deal's been in the drawer for a while.
Golden Knights goalie mix changes. Justin Watkins in studio with us, a big follower of VGK. Jeff Parles is Cofield, ESPN Reno, ESPN Las Vegas. Akira Schmid out, going to the Panthers. And then we have to talk about what the Panthers did in general with their goalie look because they changed it up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we got a crowded goalie room, and I think. I don't know where Ryan Craig sits on the Hill Hart situation. I mean, we have a guy who's moved up in throughout the system, and Carl Lindbaum, who's been great wherever he's played semi-professionally and in the sort of minor leagues of things. So none of them should be considered untouchable. In fact, as I look at this team, they should all be touchable, and we should be looking to really upgrade. There's some quality goalkeepers out there. Helen Buck, if he doesn't resign, he's got a year left on his deal, but if he doesn't resign, they're going to trade him this year. That would be amazing. Take a lot of cap space to make that work, but you got to get, Hill's contract is a tough one. You got 4 more years at, was it $5.5 million or $5 million? Maybe it's 6. You got 4 more years on it.
Did I miss anything today with Bobrovsky?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Toronto.
What was the deal?
3 for 30, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably a little more than VGK would want to spend. Would you have wanted to make that change?
No.
Move out Hill, get
Actually,
Bobrovsky. I was hoping yesterday. I said get Bobrovsky for like 2 and 16.
My
and
math,
take a chance on the 37-year-old.
My math. I misread the number. 3 years, $21 million. So 7.
Okay, so it wasn't that range.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, he's
37 years old.
37 years old.
I guess he wasn't going to get that 6-year deal that he asked for from Florida. The league sent that message pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
6 years, you're 37.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just don't think that's the answer for us is getting, 3 years is not bad though, but we don't need a 37-year-old goalie. I'm okay taking a veteran goalie because, Lindbaum might be the answer, dude. That guy has had a great, career so far leading up to the NHL. So we'll see, by all conventional wisdom, those goalies these days sort of mature in that, 24, 25, 26 age range, and he's not there. So might have some room there. But, that to me is the weakness. I'd love to see a big goalie move, but it's going to take quite a bit more moves. The thing I'll just say is I think it's funny, man, the critics of VGK on the social medias at this point of terrible move. I can't, Luzon, we've signed him a lot of term, a lot of money for, I was surprised by it, but I'm like, you know what? If this front office likes somebody and they want to sign them, they have a pretty dang good track record to go on.
Coming up, we'll get back to some college football. Today's kind of a wild card day. There's so much going on from a legal standpoint in the world of sports, and we do want to get to the World Cup because we do have a guy in the room. Well, Jeff already went to a game. Justin is going to be heading out to go to see a game coming up sooner than later, but let's do a giveaway right now. NBA Summer League tickets. Summer League's on the way here, July 9th to the 19th. UNLVtickets.com is where you can grab your tickets. We got a pair to any day of the Summer League. Again, July 9th to the 19th. We'll be out there a couple times with some live shows. Caller 7-364-1100, 364-1100. On the way back, the 5 for 5 thing is going to be challenged. There's going to be a lot of athletes around college sports who want more eligibility, and we do have a UNLV tie-in on the football program to get to.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Justin Watkins is here, our legal insider, former public servant, voice of reason on Cofield and Company. Jeff Parles, as we are in the Findlay Toyota Studios. So we know with the 5-in-5 rule that's going to be changing here around college sports that a lot of the challenges are going to go bye-bye, but that doesn't mean they all go bye-bye. And Cohen Fuller is a very interesting guy. Defensive lineman for UNLV who wants another year of eligibility. And does he have to go through a certain process here? Did he actually file suit?
He filed suit.
Okay.
Yeah. He's filed suit, and he's got 1 season at community college. He's got 1 season at NAIA, and so NAIA, and so he's saying, I haven't played the 4 eligible years. I really haven't played the 5 eligible years. If we go with the new rule of 5-and-5, they have to be NCAA governed years is his argument. And that's a pretty good one. And we've seen it's so tough for the NCAA at this point because where do you cut it off, right? So many players have won this argument about junior college and NAIA not counting towards eligibility years. And now they come out with the new rule 5-and-5. But if you're a judge and you're looking yes, you're not bound by other jurisdictions' rulings, But you can't be blind to it. So all these other kids all over the country are getting in and getting another year of eligibility on JC and lower division years of play and not counting towards eligibility. And we do, in the district in Nevada, have a case. The Reno kid, the baseball player, he did win on junior college eligibility. So you do have some precedent here. So I think he's going to win. I think Fuller's going to. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to get another year of eligibility.
Yeah, Cohen Fuller, rotational defensive lineman, arguably could be the best lineman. I thought he was going to be the best a year ago. I don't know that he was completely healthy. Little, adjustment struggles at times. But I'll tell you this: I think Dan Mullen believes that he's going to be eligible because we've talked a lot about the only All Mountain West teams that have come out so far was from Phil Steele. And Fuller, I think, was a fourth-team All-Mountain West Conference. And I know with 99% certainty that Phil Steele does his research, which his research is he talks to the coaches.
Yeah.
So I don't know that Dan Mullen would say, hey, these are the guys that I think are going to be outstanding, and name a guy who's like a 10% chance of being eligible.
Right. No, I mean, I think if you're UNLV, you got to feel like he's got a better chance than not of winning this case. The question is, how quickly could he get the injunction? Because if you're UNLV, you don't want to lose any of your wins or any of your competitive advantage. So you're not going to have him participate in any offseason workouts that are mandatory and give him a roster spot if he's not going to win the case. So I think it's a timing issue. I think a little bit of that is fluffed up in order to push the court to make this decision really quickly. Yeah. But I do expect before training starts that you're going to see some resolution, and I think he's going to win.
UNLV camp opens later this month. I think our first official look where media has access is on July 29th, so I'm sure they want to fast-track this and have Cohen Fuller out there and be able to actually – he can do behind-the-scenes work, but they want him out there doing the work. I can't say for certain, but it does appear that Terrion Arnold, at least this year, his playing career is in jeopardy. We'll see what happens long-term.
I would hope so.
Because, well, he got charged with all these felonies – on trying to go get his stuff back, and the allegations are someone's getting the crap kicked out of him, and Arnold's back on watching on video, and so he's facing all these charges. And then Lions gave it like 3 days, and then 2 days ago they're like, we're moving on.
Yeah,
so teams don't just bail on a talented guy like that unless they're being told, hey, this is serious stuff. He's in trouble.
You know what? And I just thought of this as you were recounting the story. This is oddly similar to the story that put O.J. Simpson behind bars, right? O.J. Simpson didn't go behind bars for the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. He went behind bars because he believed, in Vegas, that somebody had stolen his memorabilia, put it on the marketplace, somebody purchased it, and he was going to get his stuff back. And he broke it in the hotel room, took the stuff.
Palace Station.
Yep, and if we all recall, he was behind bars for a long time. Now, that's a unique situation because I do think, some other transgressions came into play during the penalty phase of that. But it goes to how seriously these crimes are looked at in sentencing guidelines. And, we're not talking about, like, probation here. Like, probation's not on the table here. We're talking about multiple layers of felonies and conspiracy to commit felonies, assault, theft, false imprisonment, kidnapping kind of charges when it's criminal. And so, if he's convicted of this stuff, we're talking years in prison. So, yeah, if I'm Detroit, I'm moving on pretty quickly, despite what Nick Saban has to say about the matter.
How important is your reputation to you, Justin Watkins, if I do indeed go down to Mountain West Conference and powerbomb someone through a table? Will you write a letter
for
me and say, this good guy, by the way, please put in there, never saw this coming.
Yeah.
That would be the worst lie ever. Because I talk about it on the air all the time. Like, no, he said it. You wouldn't do that, right? You wouldn't do it. I'm a jackass. You're not going to put your rep behind Cofield, the jackass. And yet Nick Saban wrote a letter to the court on behalf of Terrion Arnold.
It was a weird letter, too, because the letter basically said, hey, man, I coached this kid for 6 years. He was in our program. I never saw this coming. That's essentially the letter. And then he ends the letter by saying, although I'm not aware or really educated on what the charges are, but I do understand the seriousness of this issue. I hope you'll take my letter into consideration. So it's like, if I'm the judge, I'm like, what is this garbage? And I just throw it away. I'm like, what is this kid, like, know something about the program behind the scenes? Why is Nick Saban writing this letter? He doesn't know what the charges are. He's talking about what this kid did at his program what does that got to do with anything? It's completely immaterial to this situation now. Now, if he gets sentenced and we're going to sentencing, that's when when the convicted can bring forward evidence of moral character, mitigating circumstances. The kid has not been convicted yet. I don't know why you're sending a letter to this judge. It's odd. And then the substance of the letter has nothing to do with anything. Really weird, odd letter. And like, I'm sitting there reading it off air, and I'm like, gosh, the gall of Nick Saban to think that, like, I know the character of this young man, and, like, I don't know what you're saying he did, but he's a really good young man.
Justin, this is what these guys do when they're football coaches in their state. They're the most powerful person. They're writing letters. They're calling the fixer. They're leaning on people. That's what they do. Yeah, his whole life he was used to that.
And the prosecutor goes like, "Hey, we've got this streaming video right here on his phone of him watching these dudes, rough up these other guys they told him to do, and." Yeah, we talked to those guys, and they're both testifying against him. I don't know if either of those things are true, but I'm saying, like, that's the story. That's where they're going with. So I just think it's a really odd letter.
Following up on a controversy that came up a couple weeks ago, Justin Watkins with us here, our legal insider. 766-1400 is a number for Battleborn Injury Lawyers. The Giants and that Pride Cap thing, 3 pitchers wrote religious messages on there. They wanted to protest, and the Major League Baseball tried to throw the Giants under the bus. Buster Posey came out. He's running the organization. He won't speak on it. Specifically, he's saying just baseball questions. I saw a comment from Mike Krukow, who's on the games, and he basically said, hey, without saying Posey couldn't talk, but, hey, there's some legal issues here. Is that true? He talked about the DOJ and league office taking interest, that there was some legal reason they couldn't talk about it. I will point out, though, that there is a claim since then that the Giants organization told the San Fran radio host to not speak. No, when the CEO was going on, not talk about. I don't know if that was a sports radio station. I'll find out. But what do you think about this? The legality of not speaking openly by Buster Posey.
Yeah, it sounds like you shouldn't be a president of baseball operations if you don't know how to navigate through legalities on both sides of things. Like when I hear that kind of stuff and I see that kind of stuff, it makes me think of former Governor Sandoval, who's now the president of UNR. When the UNR women's volleyball team did not want to play San Jose because of the transgender player on the San Jose team, and the girls of the team said, we're basically boycotting this game, and they asked for the team to basically officially forfeit or reject the game, and President Sandoval came out with a letter and basically laid out, hey, under the Nevada Constitution, there are rights for transgenders. And under the Nevada Constitution, there are rights for women. And we are a state-run institution, and we have competing rights in this situation. I will not punish the girls who do not play, but I will also not allow the university to cancel this game on this grounds. We cannot do that. We have what I see as conflicting obligations here.
Right.
And perfect letter.
Well, I was going to jump in and say, a lawyer wrote that for him, but what's Sandoval's background?
Yeah, he's a lawyer to judge. He was a federal judge. Right. He left the federal bench to become governor. Like he's like as good as it gets. Would
it be wrong in these situations, in more cases, for like a Buster Posey just to have an attorney standing next to him?
Well, I mean, he's the president of baseball operations, so that means that there's a president of the other aspect of the ball club that's not baseball operations. So if you're going to come forward and say, I'm only going to answer baseball questions, then who's answering this question? Right? They put you in this seat. So who answers this question? Nobody? You're really going to be, in San Francisco? You're really not going to address this issue in any sort of way? And I get it. You want to say, the players have some First Amendment rights. We feel like they have some First Amendment rights. Major League Baseball doesn't think so. Major League Baseball thinks that they can't alter these hats and that they have to, wear this hat under these circumstances. I feel like we have conflicting rights here. You could say that, but he didn't.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Rolling on past the halfway point of Cofield and Company. Breaking news in. We got A's injury update we have to get to. Very important injury. Jaylen Brown was traded today from the Celtics to the Sixers for an amazing haul. Not really. This is a weird one. So we'll update you on that as well. USA games coming up at 5 o'clock. I'm sure Justin wants to get the hell out of here, so we're going to keep him for about 15 more minutes on some important stuff. The World Cup. So you are a big game viewer. You like to be at events, and you've done it for VGK. So I assume, you're going to go somewhere on the West Coast? What are you doing?
Well, and I've done it for college baseball. Did it for Oregon State when they won the national championship. But no, I have to be in New York on July 5th anyway. I have to be there. So that trip is already set. And there's a game on July 5th in New York.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one, too.
Yeah. But I have obligations that start at about 4 p.m. So that's not real. I mean, I could make that happen, but I'm not going to. But that means I'm going to be flying out either the 3rd or 4th of July, and I just switched my flight around because it's like I have an opportunity to go to Philadelphia on the 4th of July for $250 in Philadelphia, on Independence Mall, and then go to a World Cup game. It was supposed to be France-Germany, which was pricey. And I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to make that happen. Germany loses to Paraguay. I could get in for under $1,000 now.
Okay, that's still high. What was pricey?
Oh, it was like $2,800 to get in at the top.
Holy crap.
So the one thing that has happened with these knockout stage games is the prices were insane, but they have very much come back to the pack because everyone international had been getting ready for months to go to the group stage games, and now teams are getting eliminated. People are going home. So these tickets are coming back to earth. Like, if L.A. was an hour drive as opposed to a 4-hour drive, it probably would have went to South Africa and Canada for $350 on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's starting to come back, and you definitely got aided by the fact that Germany got upset by Paraguay as well.
Yes, and so I still haven't bought my tickets to the game because it's just going to be a single ticket. So I'm just waiting for it to come down. My goal is $500. That's what I want to get in for. I'm sure I can make that happen. Especially if I have to wait. And I'm a couple minutes late getting in because it's after the game starts. I'm happy to do that. It's France Paraguay. What do I care? I just want to be in for the atmosphere. The weird part about it was though, hotel rooms super available, super affordable in Philadelphia, which I wasn't so sure about. I got that booked, but I need to jump on a train to New York. After that, I got to get up to New York. Those are packed. So what it's telling me is a lot of local people on the Eastern Seaboard now are doing the same thing I'm doing. They're like, oh, tickets are affordable. I'll go down to the game, come back the same night. Late night trains, all booked up. That's going to be tough. I have to stay another night.
Not the worst place to stay.
Fine. Yeah.
Apparently, weather's going to be an issue.
Dude,
it's going to get down.
It says I almost don't want to do this because of the weather. It's right now it's projected to be 101 degrees with 90-something% humidity in Philadelphia open air stadium.
Jeff, how many times have you gone to an event in the Northeast where it was that hot?
No,
because I have, and I remember I went to a Phillies game. My older brother lives in Philadelphia. Well, I went to a Phillies game I think it was at Veterans Stadium. It might have been at the new stadium. It doesn't matter. Oh. But it was like those conditions, and you don't realize. Yeah. I think I probably still live there. It is unbelievable when it's 100 and 95. I mean, the equivalent here, I think, is 125.
Yeah, I would agree on that, especially being there last month. I was there the first day I got there. It was 97 degrees, and it felt like it was 128. Yeah. It was horrible. So
yeah. I did it.
Godspeed, good friend.
Yeah, I did an internship in D.C. for a summer when I was in college, and it was a hot summer. It was 100 degrees, 95 degrees, and I'll go run a 5K in 125 in the desert before I want to get out and walk a few blocks at 100 degrees and 100.
We're belly aching about watching it.
I know.
On the way back, we'll get into trying to play in this thing, that whole water break thing. Apparently, I guess there was a lot of complaints today. The England game looked like it was a freaking doozy. There's been great games the last couple of days. More World Cup is on the way.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
USA Soccer against Bosnia-Herzegovina coming up in about 20 minutes, so we'll keep you abreast of what's going on in that one. Breaking news with the A's with a Brent Rooker injury. Details on that coming as well. Some more info on the Pac-12. A couple of interesting stories with the Pac-12. But Justin Watkins is here. We're talking World Cup. You're going to go to Philadelphia.
Yep.
It's going to be hot, but you're fired up to go to the World Cup. You guys were talking during a break about two of your least favorite cities to go to. Do you agree on Atlanta and Houston?
I agree on Atlanta and Houston.
Yeah.
I have enough work stuff that I've been to Atlanta quite a few times. I've never liked it. I've never liked being there. It's hot. It's I don't know, man. It's too spread out. There's not enough. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a cosmopolitan city, dude. It just feels like work to get around.
There is only one positive with Atlanta to me. There are a ton of Waffle Houses.
Yeah.
That is.
I still have never been to a Waffle
I stayed
House.
next to one.
I look.
It was one of the best like overnight stays ever.
Oh, did you go there? Did you go there like multiple times?
I've been to Atlanta a bunch of times.
No, I mean Waffle House.
Multiple times? That one?
Yeah.
No, because it was a quick stopover.
Okay.
But if I could, I would.
I
love
do
Waffle
think
House.
their airport gets a bad rap. I mean, it's big and there's a lot going on there.
I've never had an issue, but
Yeah,
when
that's
you
what I'm
have an
saying.
issue there, I can see how it's a big problem.
I've never had an issue there either, and it's what is it, the third? I think it's the third or the second most trafficked airport in the United States.
I think it's isn't it number one still?
Okay.
Maybe it's
All
top
right.
3 for sure. Yeah.
I like both. I like Philly for many reasons.
Yeah, me too.
I did want to correct something you said off the air
Was
because
that?
you were talking about running up the steps
Yeah,
to the Rocky statue.
yeah.
They took it from the top of the steps.
I don't
it's
need to run.
Now,
I don't know.
now
I'm
it's
not
at the
running-
bottom of the steps on the right.
I'm not running to the statue.
Oh, okay.
I'm running the steps.
You're running the steps.
I don't care about the statue.
I was not going to run those steps.
Oh, I'm
Nor
doing
was I
it.
going to run down them.
Well, I'm going for a run anyway. That's what I said. I'm going for a run anyway. I can't go for a run
Yeah.
in Philadelphia when I'm staying in Rittenhouse Square. It's right down. It's right there.
You're in a good spot, my friend.
Yep.
That's a good
Can
spot
you get
there.
a picture? Just putting the hands up at the top.
Well, I can't.
Or next to the statue.
I mean, I
Just don't put a jersey on it. That's bad luck.
I'm not doing that. Well, I'm not in a position to do that. I don't know. I'm gonna take a picture either. I'm just running it.
I got food recommendations for you. My favorite foodie follow in the entire country, and there's a lot of them, is the Godfather of Meat.
Okay.
Yeah, he's great.
Is that close to Rittenhouse Square?
It's not a restaurant. That's a person.
Okay.
And he reviews.
follow.
He's
Okay.
actually reviewed so many cheesesteak places, and he's like, I'm tired of cheesesteaks. And now he's branching out to everything. Now he's traveling. He was in like Miami last week. He's going to North Jersey. He's great. Godfather of Meat.
So
and he looks like his name.
I haven't been to Philadelphia a ton, but I love the times that I've been there. I will say this: I am not a Cheese Whiz cheesesteak guy. I think that's nasty.
I don't like that.
And
We're all in a disagreement on that one.
and I love the chicken versions of the cheesesteak. Chicken cheesesteak is like I'm all on board
We can
with
deal
it.
with
I
that.
love that. I love that.
I'm not offended by that.
We can deal
Okay.
with it.
All right. Cheese Whiz is nasty though.
England game today was crazy.
Dude, I mean, I was watching that game and I was like, I was cheering for England because I want to see Mexico-England next round. Like, that'd be cool. I think that would be fun. And Congo, like, I was watching that, and up until the 70th minute, I'm like, England can't get the ball in. Like, they're gonna get shut out in this game. They're gonna lose 1-0. And then once that first goal went in, then it was like all of a sudden Congo was like, we're just trying to get to extra time. We're not even trying to score anymore. And it just totally flipped the script. Exciting game. I thought it was fun.
Harry Kane
Yeah.
was when his team needed him most. I mean, the first goal, look, they left him unmarked.
Yep.
Put it right in. Great job. Kind of felt like first off, the broadcasters on Fox, everyone who's done games, they're all phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're all phenomenal. I forget who was doing the game this morning for us, but that second goal was high class. There was no chance of the Congolese keeper getting that. And look, I gotta give credit to all these African teams that have advanced, and now, other than Morocco, South Africa lost in a heartbreaking fashion. They lost in a stoppage time goal. Ivory Coast gave up a goal in the 86th minute or whatever it was yesterday against Norway. DR Congo this morning. I mean, you're leading England in the 75th minute on a chance on what would have been a seismic upset. And then Senegal earlier today, just a few hours ago, 2-0 lead in the 83rd, and then find a way to lose in extra time. Just heartbreak city for all those African teams so far. In the knockout
we still got
stage.
Cape Verde.
Look, if Cape Verde lose, or we'll call it Cabo Verde, which, by the way, we're all going to have to visit now because of how beautiful it looks. But if they lose in heartbreaking fashion, that means something surprising happens when those two teams when they play Argentina on Friday.
Yeah.
I think Argentina will roll them, but who knows? It's been a hell of a tournament so far.
Justin Watkins is here. All right, we're 50 minutes into the hour. We have not been sucked into the vortex that is Caitlin Clark. We have to talk Caitlin Clark every day because it's a wildfire on the internets. Emmanuel Acho had an interesting take yesterday. Thought it was just kind of a hot take. We listened to it. Okay. Alex White got annoyed. That's when you know something serious.
Right.
She got irked. Give me Acho on Caitlin Clark and what the WNBA should be doing.
The W at this junction in time would be better without Caitlin Clark because she is a bigger distraction than she is an additive. Caitlin Clark has gotten the WNBA over the necessary threshold they needed. Now people are watching. Now we realize, there's talent in the W, talent that's actually even greater than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not just talking about bigs like Asia. I'm talking about the Olivia Miles. I'm talking about the Paige Beckers. Hell, I'm talking about the Kelsey Mitchells.
Okay, I don't agree. I don't agree with this headline either. I don't think the league would be better off without Caitlin Clark. And they haven't arrived to where they need to arrive. That is limitless, and Caitlin Clark helps that. Headline in The Athletic, the Caitlin Clark experience isn't fun anymore. Come on, everybody.
I agree with that one.
This is fun.
This is not fun.
Angst is fun.
No.
Controversy is fun.
No, it's not.
Debating greatness and skill level is fun.
No. I mean,
You and Acho are crazy.
I think that gets eyeballs, and I think that that's interesting, and I'm here for debate, but it's not fun. Like, remember when Caitlin Clark first came in? I believe it was fun. It was all like filling arenas. There, yes, we had some controversy. Is Angel Reese part of bringing these record crowds and this viewership? It was all like crazy positivity. There was some like, oh wait, she's kept off the Team USA. There was some controversy, but it was intermittent along this like crazy surgence. I'm not saying resurgence of WNBA viewership and attendance in the crowds. And now it's like everything that's being done is like, hey, she's getting brutalized on fouls. The team isn't protecting her. The WNBA isn't protecting her. The officials have it out for her. The other players have it out for her. And all those things may be true on varying degrees. But what I'm not seeing a lot of is game highlights. And, her out there. And she's having a good year, but she's also already missed some games with the back injury again. And I don't know, man. It doesn't have the same fire for a casual fan like me that it once had. It's not fun. It's all moaning and crying and whining. That's what it is. A whole bunch of that. Whether it's not getting enough respect for the kind of player she is, or the the officials not protecting, or what have you. It's just a bunch of crying and whining on both sides. Not fun.
The league office has completely mangled the whole deal.
1,000,000%. Yes.
The league office was given a rocket ship.
Yep.
To take them legitimately to the moon. They got the CBA done. Obviously a great first step. But the league office has failed at every single turn. And look, there are diehards for this league that have loved it forever. There are a lot of people that are listening to us that love the Aces and love Asia Wilson, who still is the best player in this league, and there's no arguing that. But when you have a rocket ship, you don't cause the takeoff to go off at a slower mile per hour than it needs to intentionally. And it has felt like at every turn with this league, And this is on the league office. This isn't on the players. This isn't on Clark. This isn't on Clark's fans. This isn't on the organizations. This is strictly on the league office. And this honestly falls completely on Kathy Engelbert, who from the get-go has not understood what they have. And look, I don't care if Clark is not the best player in the league. I don't care if Clark's not even a top 20 player. I don't care. But she's number one in the eyeballs to the consumer. And you have to go with what the consumer tells you, especially when you're a league that needs to take advantage of the spotlight. And the league, and this is the league's fault, like 100%, I want to make that very clear. The players have done everything they can. Have there been things that have been missteps? Sure. But the fact that that take from Acho can happen, the fact that that headline from The Athletic, you agree with it, I think it's a lot closer to 50-50 than a lot of people will acknowledge. That is a failure of the league. And quite frankly, if this league doesn't hit the level that it is supposed to, we're going to look back on this in a few years and say, you know what? Leadership in New York at the WNBA offices is the reason this league did not turn into a league that should be by far the most popular women's sports league in the world and on par with some of the men's leagues that are in this country in different sports. And if it never makes it to that point, it's on the league office.
No doubt about it. I mean, to use your analogy, they had a rocket ship, but they didn't bring any rocket fuel.
No.
They're just
They filled it to 10%.
Yeah.
They filled it to 10%. It can go around the earth once as opposed to going to the moon.
Yeah, and there are, these loyalists who thought the league was awesome, and they were there from the very beginning. But, dude, that number was so small that your fandom was not enough to sustain that league. It was losing money year over year over year over year, and nobody was ever going to make any money. And sure, fine, it was this cool little niche thing. It was a side project. I'm going to say that. It was an equality project of the NBA. It could not self-sustain. And then doesn't matter the quality of the player. It matters the quality of the popularity that you were delivered by this player that put you into the black on your accounting, gave you this chance to turn this league into a popularity. And if you had these traditionalists that are now 5% of the fan base, I'm sorry, you have to turn the page and bring them along and move the league forward. And some of that is the kind of play that the league officials allow all over.
Sure.
People
too
don't
physical.
want to watch it.
Yeah,
it's
too
over
physical.
the top.
And
so I agree with you 100%. You didn't recognize what you had. You didn't make the changes that were necessary. You held yourself hostage to some loyalists who were immaterial to the growth of the league, and you didn't allow it to grow.
And we got a minute left. Fun!
Not fun.
Look at how worked up you guys are getting.
But you know what I'm not doing? I'm not watching any games. I'm not watching any of these games.
You got the final 30.
No, I was just going to say, like, the quality of player and the quality of teams in this league is awesome, too. That's the other part that makes this so frustrating. The league has never put out a better product than it has right now. There are so many amazing players, but it all goes back to her because they messed it up in the league office of how to handle what her brand and everything else around it needed to be for the league. And that's the only conversation, not the high-quality play of the others on the court.
Sophie Cunningham, save us.
She's not the one either. All right, Justin, we'll have a good trip. We got to get you on the phone next week.
Yes, sir.
I'll
be back.
I'll be back. It's all right. We want a full recap of World Cup in Philly. Have fun.
All right, thanks, guys.
Live from the Findlay Toyota Studios, it's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, USA Soccer starting up here. Cool watch parties all around town. Great spot to watch the game tonight. Great spot to watch sports in general. A really place to party, hang, win money before and after big events on the Strip is Jackson's Bar and Grill, 6020 West Flamingo, Flamingo and Jones, home of the best value steak in town. Not only the best value steak in town, but actually Tasting Table just named it a top 7 steak value in the country for under $30. $22 on the garlic marinated bistro filet, and 22 on the 1 pound ribeye. Get in there, Jackson's Bar and Grill, Flamingo and Jones. 24/7 happy hour. Get your club tails. I'm down with the club tails. I think I'm drinking too many club tails. I'm having fun. I think we need to bring in someone who's going to have fun with this. I don't know. Maybe he'll get all worked up too. We've got soccer. We've got NBA. We've got NFL. Got all the stuff to get into. But we got sucked in again to the vortex of Caitlin Clark. Myles Simmons is with us from Pro Football Talk. He's a big sports fan. Well, here's the thing, Myles. We were just reacting to a story that we saw in The Athletic where a lady, I think her name is Cindy Buckner, wrote that, and she didn't, I don't know if she writes the headlines, but the tone of the story was the Caitlin Clark experience is not fun anymore. And my comeback to that is like, I'm having the time of my life. I think this is the greatest thing ever. I think it's a great topic. I'm having fun. But Justin Watkins, our legal insider, and Jeff were both like, you're right, it's gotten maddening.
I mean, I think it's weird. I think people have a lot of strong feelings about Caitlin Clark that I generally don't really have. And so, obviously she's a very good player, but I missed that. In The Athletic today, I got
fun to
other
watch.
Stuff going on.
I got more important stuff to watch. I mean, there's a lot of social aspects to it. We see people picking sides, picking fights, but I look at it from the basketball standpoint. Like I've gone back time and time again. I like breaking down what's going down on the floor in terms of the physicality. And what it reminds me of is the WNBA in a lot of ways is like the NBA around the time of the Pistons to the Pacers to the Heat to the Knicks, where it was like, this is cool, man. Like, and I don't I find the thing I find most fascinating, and I think this happens in football with quarterbacks. Physicality should require protection on the other side, and I don't think that necessarily the league is there yet where it's like, hey, you're going to mess with our best player or someone who's a shooter and a little bit frail on the outside. No, you're not. There's going to be payback.
And I don't know. I don't know names because I don't cover the sport and I don't watch it that often. And I'm not saying people shouldn't, but when you do get like a fist to the throat, and then the person gets suspended like that, that does feel like consequences. It feels like just consequences to me from what I know of the story, which again, very little. I don't cover it, and there's a lot of stuff in sports going on right now. Obviously, that there's our country is playing right now on television, so it's like I don't know, but I agree with you that it's interesting and it's fun, but at the same time, it sort of reminds me. Is it too much? Are we getting overexposed to this?
Maybe.
Which is kind of the thing that I was asking about Caitlin Clark, a couple years ago. And then she was hurt for a lot of last season, so we didn't hear that much about Caitlin Clark because there wasn't much to talk about. But she's just, this is who she is. She's sort of like Shadur Sanders, and that she's just like a lightning rod for people to voice their opinions on her, much like with Shadur, where is that deserved? Is that something that should even really be happening? I don't know. I mean, I think Clark was certainly much better than Sanders, if you're talking about accomplishments at the college level, but that's where I'm like, these two people are just so lightning rods where you can't really talk about them and who they are as players without it then becoming like a much bigger thing than what it maybe should be.
Yep, everything turns into that. And that's why soccer fascinates me too, because while I covered it a little bit in college, I haven't had much interest in it except for World Cups here and there. And I find the physicality and the chippiness and the flopping and the trying to draw fouls, I find it fascinating. Last night I started texting Parles because who the hell was on? It was Mexico and Ecuador. Well, and at the end of the game, there's 4 minutes left. It's getting real chippy. It's 2-0. Ecuador doesn't really have a shot. And one of the Ecuadorian players walks up to a Mexican player and puts his hand over his mouth, and he's like, "You mother!" I don't know what he was saying. But then they went to replay, and then they came out with a red card, and I texted Jeff, and I'm like, wait, could they hear what he was saying? And then Jeff responds like, you're not allowed to put your hand over your mouth. Well, then why would he do it? He clearly did it on purpose. I'm a sucker for angst, and I know I'm different than people, and I like the purity of the game, but soccer just fascinates me. I like all facets of it, and I knew you're into it, right? You're enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I actually was fortunate enough to go to the U.S. Turkey A, since that's what we're calling it now. I shouldn't see it like that. But I went to that game last week at SoFi. which was awesome until like they lost at the last second. But then it was like, okay, it's fine because we still won our group, and we were kind of like messing around and like not really playing all the guys that needed to play. And obviously Pulisic wasn't playing until some point in the second half. But the thing that I loved the most was when I was leaving the game, and like there was a Turkey fan in the aisles, a gentleman, let's call him no more than 25. And he had his lady that he was with. I don't know if it was his girlfriend, his wife, or what, but I'm telling you, they were making out like it was the end of the world.
Wow.
After they won that game. I was like, wow, you know what? This is what it means. This is what it means. Romance is not dead, people. Romance isn't dead.
Have you never been happy enough at a sporting event to just start making out with your lady?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time
by
at
the way,
sporting events,
me either.
Who the hell am I going to make out with? Adam Hill, who's sitting next to me as we're covering the game? Like, it's a little unprofessional, first of all.
I feel like
I'm working at the RJ. I think they're going to send me to HR.
I feel like I've never experienced a victory with that much passion. I feel like I'm on the wrong side of it.
The only time I minded was in 2016 when the Cavs won the finals, but I was alone in a hotel room at that time, so I just I had to celebrate by myself. There was no.
I'm actually
romance.
I'm the opposite of that fan because when I get emotional, it's the other way, and I do remember I still have a picture of it when the Eagles were able to hold off the Patriots and Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I dropped to my knees and I was crying. But it's because I was so happy that someone I hate, a team I hate, lost. That's not the equivalent of making out with your girlfriend because you just had this great victory.
That's a hate watch. I did cry when the Cavs won the finals, though. I'll admit that. I'll admit that.
It's my life. So it's the way it goes. Okay, so we talk all the time about Myles, and he's working with Peacock, and he's got to make the transition when he wants to. He makes the call on this one with his agent to the NBA. You love the NBA. Do you, first of all, what did you think of the way that LeBron, that whole news thing came down yesterday? I think we knew the split was inevitable, and so far I've liked the way both sides have handled it because it hasn't gotten nasty. There's no stories. Like, they needed to part ways, and both sides really wanted that.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think the funniest part of it is that Bronny's salary got guaranteed before that news came out. And I have a hard time believing that, like, the Lakers didn't know what was coming there. Yeah. So it's not like, they were left in the dark and then they're like, oh, what the hell? Now I got to pay this guy that I didn't even want in the first place, but I just got him to keep his debt. Like, no, I think that everybody is fine with the way that happened. And I agree with you. It's been pretty respectful on both sides. I think that, LeBron didn't just leak that, he wasn't going back to Lakers. And then 5 minutes later, we figure out where he's going. I think LeBron has a pretty good idea of where he's going, and he's been dropping like little breadcrumbs that he's coming back to Cleveland, whether it's, being in a Witness shirt when he's working out with a song in the background that says, go home, go home, go home, or he's just been in Ohio for a little bit. Like, maybe it's me just, doing the whole wishful thinking thing, and I will admit that, but like, I think that the signs have been there that he wants to go back to Cleveland, and Cleveland certainly would welcome him back with open arms. And hell, I've been saying it, Brentwood's not too far away from where I live. If LeBron needs any help moving his stuff back, I'm happy to help.
Myles, does Cleveland make the most basketball sense, though?
I think it makes a lot of basketball sense. I think Miami might make a little bit more basketball sense just for him being able to play with Giannis and all that. But you pair him with Donovan Mitchell, you pair him with James Harden, who's aging, and you don't make James Harden be the dominant guy that he cannot be, at least at this stage of his career. And I mean, look, we all watched the turnovers in the postseason, and it was a real problem. So if you get LeBron James, you add another guy who can be a ball dominant player along with Donovan Mitchell, I think, and let James Harden just cook as more of a shooter. I think that does make a lot of sense, not just from the nostalgia standpoint of it all, but also from a basketball standpoint where, I think the Cavs would be very competitive. Look, they were the runner-ups in the East. All right. I mean, like, I know that there have been some trades, today that might make some other teams a little bit more competitive there, and Detroit should be good again and all that. But LeBron coming back to the East, I think, would make the Cavs extremely competitive.
What in the world are the Celtics doing?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, they had a disgruntled employee and they had to get rid of him. And, so not only do they get Paul George, right, but they get a bunch of picks back. At least that's my understanding of the trade. I know it just happened a couple hours ago and I was working out, so I'm not working from the most knowledge of it. But yeah, I think that's probably what is happening there, I would expect. Because look, when you are pursuing a player and you dangle one of your best players out there, so with the Celtics and Giannis is what I'm talking about now, like, you can't then go back and be like, oops, sorry, no, we still love you. Like, it's very hard to recover from that. And so that is part of why I think Brad Stevens was kind of caught between the rock and the hard place of what are you going to do with Brown? And so this is what they came up with. And, you know, I mean, it's not like Paul George is a bad player. I think he can play pretty well alongside Jason Tatum. So yeah, I think that it's a decent trade from that standpoint. But I think at this point in their careers, Brown is probably a better player than Paul George.
The other big move that happened, and that I at least haven't gotten to today yet, Kawhi going back to Toronto is fascinating on so many levels, Myles, just because he couldn't wait to get out of there after winning a championship to go to the Clippers, and now 6 years later is willfully being traded back there. And look, the Raptors have a very interesting roster with unbelievable skill and length on the wing now, but everything about that deal is just, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that is extraordinarily interesting for not just basketball reasons, but just human reasons as well.
Yeah, all the off the court stuff too that's been swirling with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, like you pointed to it, right? Like it's very fascinating on a lot of levels. I mean, but the thing about Leonard is just health. Like, is he going to be healthy enough to actually make an impact on the team? And that was so much of the problem with him with the Clippers here in Los Angeles. Like, I mean, it just, when Kawhi is on, he's really, really good. But now we're also at a point where it's like, man, the last time we saw you really be great consistently was 2019. And that's, 7 years ago at this point. So how much can we really think that, oh yeah, this is a guy that's going to be able to make Toronto a real contender in the East? I don't know, just because I don't know about what his availability is going to be. I mean, when we're thinking about the best moments of Kawhi's career, yeah, it was 2019, and then you got to go back to what, like 2014, 2013, when he was with the Spurs and they won that championship over the Heat, and then LeBron comes back to Cleveland and makes my life happy. So like, I think that there's a lot there where, yeah, Kawhi can still be great, but how great can he be consistently over the course of an 82-game season plus the postseason? I don't know if anybody really knows that.
USA and Bosnia scoreless 13th minute, very dangerous opportunities that USA had to get a couple of saves from the keeper on. So this is not going to be an easy one. Myles Simmons with us, Pro Football Talk. So I see a story up on PFT, and I understand this part of it. New York Times internal investigation of Diana Rossini is still ongoing. I get it. There's another, it's one of the many branches in this whole thing, and I'm generally pretty decent at getting like why this is a story, like it's going to lead to something. Why were we watching videos this week of her getting out of a ticket? Like, can you put that together for us? Like, is it establishing a pattern that she's not trustworthy, or I don't know. Like, I know lots of people who've gotten out of tickets. The way she did it was a little bit weird. The story that was told was weird because it wasn't. I don't. Am I talking myself into the importance of this story and seeing her get out of a ticket?
Well, I think it was just one of the threads that could be pulled on when the New York Times dropped its story on the Rossini situation and how she was dismissed in her pattern of behavior. And so I guess the thread was, she said that she told this story on a podcast that was, hey, I got out of a ticket by FaceTiming a coach. And it turns out she didn't FaceTime the coach. She just had texted the coach before, and the coach turns out to be Kevin O'Connell. And the text messages showed what was a largely one-sided conversation between these two individuals. So I think, yeah, when it comes to like the pattern of behavior and pattern of, I guess, untrustworthiness, I mean, and when you're on a podcast telling a story, people embellish stuff. So like, that is what it is. But I guess then when you use that story as the lead to the New York Times article, it then becomes that much more of a big deal than it maybe should be. So that's kind of my read on it. I mean, I frankly, I'm personally a little bit tired of the Rossini stuff. Because
little?
I just, well,
Come on.
how much does it matter? Like, she lost her job. Like, she resigned. She might have been dismissed after they finished their investigation, which is apparently still ongoing anyway. And look, what her actions revealed was something that was deeply unethical as a reporter, and it violated the standards and practices of the New York Times, which is part of why she had to lose her job. I mean, whether or not she was resigning, she was not going to continue on in that job once everything that got revealed was revealed. The issue then becomes, okay, well, what about Vrabel? Like, why is it a double standard? Well, Vrabel had ostensibly had an affair that he has not admitted to. He's just, it appears that he had an affair, right? People have affairs all the time. I have seen coaches at places, never mind.
Yeah,
but it's just that's one thing that happens in life that was not jeopardizing the standards and practices of his job. Okay, and like, so I get that it's still a thing. It's a little salacious. It's whatever. But I'm not. I think that once we finally get people on the field in August and September when the games start, this whole Rossini stuff, we're not going to be talking about it very much anymore.
I pray that's the case, and I don't pray. Myles, going back to the origins of this part of the story, have you ever used the name of Mike Florio to get out of a ticket? I mean, let's put you on the griddle.
No, I've not been stopped at a traffic stop as I knock on wood for a long time.
Good.
I don't think since
Adam Hill and I have been pulled over multiple times with me driving. And okay. I 100% earned and asked for a ticket in one case. And the other one, believe it or not, the officer said, after a little while of going back to the car and checking out the deets, he looked at us and he's like, I like the show. Have a good night. Drive slower.
Well, there you go.
I was like, okay. That worked.
See?
And I didn't say anything. I didn't say, like, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm Steve Rossini. I do a radio show.
No. Yeah. Well, the funniest part about those videos is, like, she kept going, I know you don't care.
Yeah.
I was like, then stop saying it, dude. Like, enough.
Okay.
Take your come up.
Florio, the NFL, this is like truly a slow period, and something has to explode for something to come out. I thought this was really interesting, and I think it's a deeper conversation, and then we will let you go watch USA Soccer, because I know you want to watch it. Myles Simmons with us, Pro Football Talk. Headline, some Bills fans view ticket prices for new stadium as outrageous, and I think the reaction on that would be, well, ticket prices were going to go up, duh. But then there's another side of it. If you get over $1 billion of assistance in public money, can we have a large swath of tickets available for decent prices? Can the state have some control? Local legislators have some control to tell the Bills, like, come on now, face value tickets upstairs some of them should be this, not $400, $500, $600.
Yes. Well, I agree with you on that, and I wish that were the case, and I wish that, billionaires sometimes weren't so greedy. Like, one of my best friends is from Buffalo, and when they had that ribbon cutting ceremony, I texted him, and I'm like, oh, congrats on the ribbon cutting today, and he's like, yeah, it's a shame that most good people won't be able to, including me, won't be able to sit in there because the tickets are so expensive. And like, it is. I mean, especially in a place like Buffalo, which, like, I mean no disrespect when I say this, like, Buffalo is not a place like Los Angeles where you've got all these rich people. Like, that is a hard-working blue-collar town. And those people love their Bills, and we know that. Sometimes they love them a little too much and do a little too much, but that's all right. We love them anyway. But I think that what becomes a problem here is how much is too much, right? And, I think there's never going to be compromise when you have people who are that rich, and because they're that rich, they make a lot of money and they want to keep all their money that they can. And it's all about, maximizing profit. And so it's a shame that good, hardworking folks are not going to be able to see as many Bills games as they used to. That being said, I still think that they're going to be able to fill that stadium as long as the Bills are good, and it's going to work out in the way that the Pagulas probably want.
Myles, wonderful spot as always. Thank you. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
There he is. Myles Simmons, Pro Football Talk, at Myles A. Simmons. I know you're keeping an eye on the game. Those were very dangerous opportunities for Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a corner kick that was curved, hooked.
So
like into the goal mouth.
Yeah, good job by Freese to parry that away. But it was a sick ball in.
And that punch save that he made,
Yeah.
I don't know, the shot was probably from 15 yards?
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty close. So this has been dangerous early in the 20th minute, scoreless.
A lot more open than I would have expected, in all honesty. Kind of expected Bosnia to really park the bus, and they have at times, but they've taken advantage at least of their counter opportunities. But look, feeling out process. Still a long way to go there in Santa Clara.
So on this show, I've mentioned a few times, I don't talk a lot about going to concerts because I don't go to that many. But when I go recently, Jeff, a lot of times it's been to see older artists, and especially artists from my era. And in the case, I saw one a couple weeks ago where I'm trying to think, the lead singers were like 70, 65, and 64, and I'm like, man, this is amazing. I really get a kick out of performers, stretching it out and still being able to perform. Roger Daltrey is playing Vegas. He's north of 80. He's playing Vegas coming up at the Encore, which is a great venue at Wynn, August 26th to the 29th.
Wow.
And we've got a pair of tickets. 364-1100, 364-1100 is the number. Roger Daltrey tickets. James is going to hook you up. We'll come back. We'll get to the latest on the NBA. We'll get the specifics on the Brent Rooker A's injury. We are headed towards A's baseball right here on ESPN Las Vegas against the Dodgers with coverage starting at 6 o'clock.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, scoreless USA 27th minute coming up. I see a man down, so we'll see if they stop play. But yeah, scoreless 27th minute. Baseball news in. What a bummer. It feels like Brent Rooker never really got off the ground this season for the A's. And he's a big part of that offense. Now, they're not short on offense, although when you start getting cluster injuries, like Soderstrom's down right now, you can see the last couple weeks the offense hasn't been as productive, but sucky break for Rooker. What's the injury?
Knee cartilage. Martin Gallegos was the report on that. But, yeah, look, he never got off the ground this year. Like you said, there's no shortage of offense with this club. But, again, it just feels like an avalanche right now. It feels like an avalanche where just everything that can go wrong is going wrong for the A's right now.
No Ohtani tonight, which is a break, but it almost feels like kind of a slap in the face. Dave Robertson and the Dodgers are like, yeah, you know what? Let's give him a little more rest, and we'll bullpen it.
Yeah, you can throw him against San Diego over the weekend.
And I think the updated number, they're still like minus 160. They were minus 195 with Ohtani a day ago.
Yeah, I think that initial price was probably still okay. Again, it's really bad right now for the A's, Cofield. It just they not enough pitching, and on the days that they get reasonable pitching, they don't hit enough. It's just whatever can go wrong is going wrong right now for the A's. And again, the one saving grace for them is that the division stinks. Still only 3.5 out entering their game tonight. If they win, they'll be 3 out. And if you're 3 out at the end of July, beginning of August, when the deadline is, you have to buy. And you have to at least attempt to steal the AL West in a year where the AL West is really not any good.
Without the A's on the ground here, can we, and does the Vegas community, I guess, can we go at them like they're here and make demands? And does Vegas even care enough for us to be flipping out if there's no moves made over the next couple of weeks? Because when they are here, the grace period is going to be pretty short.
Oh,
when they are here, you are competing for the Vegas sports dollar. And I can't say it enough times. The Raiders and the NFL is in a different stratosphere. Now, we can make all the demands we want with the Raiders to be good, and we want the Raiders to compete because it helps the city. I'm not a Raiders fan, but it's more fun covering a successful franchise. But the NFL's Teflon. They're going to sell tickets. They're going to make their money. When competition is here and it's A's and VGK and NBA, and to a much lesser degree, WNBA and UNLV, especially basketball, fighting to get people back in that building, there is a standard set by one organization, and that is the Vegas Golden Knights, and by Bill Foley. And to me, the A's have to live up to that because it is no more gritty gutty. We don't have money, A's. No, we gave you money. We gave you $400 million, and we're going to spend more on the roads to get it up to snuff. Is it too early to start barking demands?
Yeah.
Or do we also have to like take into account, hey, they weren't projected to be 88 wins coming in, so what we've gotten has been about what we expected.
I think the latter. Because remember, the conversation before the year is, hey, if things go right, they could be in a wild card conversation. That was the conversation at the beginning of the year, right? Where Seattle is clearly the power that be out west. And I think Cofield, if you asked an A fan, 3.5 minutes, Balogun. Yeah, Balogun. There you go, on the board. But you, Cofield, you're 3.5. You're 3-0 offside. All right, so it's gone. All right, but
Come on, Jack.
Sorry.
Be responsible.
I got to be responsible with saying if there's
You're going with a hot take,
but
it's over the back. It's over your shoulder. Sorry, we don't have TVs on this.
3.5. If you said to an A's fan at the beginning of the year, you're 3.5 games out of the division on July 1st, you take that 100 times out of 100.
You do. But then my response is
the way that it went.
Well, as a baseball fan who has always gone with the approach that if you're near the dance floor, you add. There is no selling. You go for it because every year you have a chance. Get in the playoffs. Maybe you can make a run. And we've seen it in baseball. There's been teams out of nowhere that make a run one year. And again, nothing about this says, trade Bolte, move on Jamie Arnold, JKG's got to get out of here. None of it. Gage Jump's untouchable. Nick Kurtz ain't getting traded. It's like none of that says this. But in this market where we've grown accustomed to the Knights going for it, I mean, like to the nth degree. Firing a coach with 8 games left in the season, that's insane. But they did it, and it almost worked. Here's the crazy thing. When I talk about the A's making a run and adding, baseball is actually screwing the A's a little bit right now because the familiar faces that you would go to and you would just go, hey, they're going to bail. The A's don't have to bail anymore. Go after them, right?
Yeah.
Go after the White Sox. Go after the Pirates. Like, damn it. They're good. Now the Royals can't find a pot to piss in right now. They are horrendous.
Horrific.
I don't know what pitching you could mine from the Royals. But a lot of the organizations that normally give up every year have actually turned the corner, and they can't give up this year. So the trade market's going to be really interesting. I don't think the Angels are going to want to deal within the division. Angels fan JVT keeps mentioning Angels to go to the A's, but I don't think the Angels are going to want to do that.
And you look at the NL side of things, the Rockies have nothing you want. Do you think the Giants are going to be willing to do business with the A's? Probably not.
There's like one candidate.
Which leaves one other candidate, which is a candidate that no one expected going into the year, and that's the Mets, who are 15 games under. But I don't know what the willingness of Stearns will be to move off of some of the bullpen pieces that you would want because they're under multi-year contracts. And again, I don't know if I were the A's, I don't know how much I'd really want Devin Williams, but Luke Weaver hasn't given up a run in 6 weeks.
I'll take both of them.
No, but I'm just saying, I don't know what type of packages it would be. I mean, the biggest issue for them is look, I think the Reds are terrible personally, but they're 6 games under in a wild card race where everyone is mediocre at the bottom of it. The Pirates are 500. I mean, the owner doesn't care about the fan base, so they could sell some pieces that actually would be worthy if they have a bad stretch the next few weeks. The Nationals are magically 2 games over 500, so they're in it.
Yep.
And the Marlins, who are usually seller number ABC, just had the best record in baseball in June. So it's a very as you just pointed out, it is a very complicated trade market for these fringe. It's for everybody, not just the fringe teams, but for the teams that are at the top: the Yankees, the Rays, the Brewers, the Dodgers, and the Braves. It's a very complicated trade market, and also I think I may have just stumbled into this though, Cofield. That makes it more likely probably for the A's to sell because there aren't that many sellers out there where if you're like, let's say the A's are 4 out. Let's say the A's are 4 out of a playoff spot on July 30th, okay? That's close. That's close. Do you go for it while you're still in Sacramento? Or do you try to just accumulate some more pieces so when you move here in 2 years that you're really ready to ramp up and go then? So it's complicated. It's a very complicated mix here for the A's.
Well, we'll see what they're going to do. And I'm sure some of it's going to depend on how they perform here the next 10 or 15 games. In the NBA today, in the last couple of days, it's been incredible. I mentioned at the start of the show with one of our guests, Arash Markazi, that I go home yesterday. It's 3.5 hours into the tampering period. My girlfriend, who's a Lakers fan, she's reading social media as she likes to do. She's crazy that way. She's reading message boards, and she's seeing Laker fans who are like, "Fire Pelinka! We're not doing anything!" I was like, it just started today. and then today it was like, boom, 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 boom. The great thing about social media sometimes is the amount of trolling that goes on. I saw one of the sports books, and in this case it was FanDuel. I'll give them the shout out. The deal comes down for Walker Kessler, and the tweet that's sent out is, "That's it? This is what the team looks like." And then within an hour, they had 4 more guys. It's like, chill. Now, I know they're in the trolling business. They're just trying to get people mad. I don't know how that leads to engagement to bet, but I don't know that formula. Maybe I belong in the sportsbook industry just trolling people on Twitter. Maybe it's a fruitful thing, but the Lakers backed it up. Well, let's get your reaction first on Walker Kessler. He played 5 games last year. He's 24. You don't love the deal?
No. I don't trust him to stay healthy.
Yeah, well, the 7-footer, it could be a question. No, it wasn't. Luckily, it wasn't a knee and ankle. It was a labrum tear.
Sure. No, it was a fluky one, but I still don't trust him to stay healthy. And look, Luka is one of the 5 best players in the league when he's healthy. And he's already been to an NBA Finals. The big issue that the Lakers have is they are so far behind both Oklahoma City and San Antonio that I don't know if there's a move in the chamber at all anywhere that's realistic that can push them to the level of those 2 teams. Walker Kessler's fine. He's a good player when he's been on the court. He's a big guy that can catch lobs from Luka. That's what you need, and a guy who can run the floor.
He's a great rebounder, and he's probably a top 5 shot blocker in the NBA. So if you get, I'll just throw out numbers. If you get 15, 12, and 3.5 blocks a game, you've got a gigantic upgrade at center.
You've done well.
Yeah, but the keys are what the rest of the team looks like. Clearly, Luka and Reeves will be counted on to do much of the scoring. If they can both stay healthy, then you're looking at hopefully 75-plus games of, I don't know what, a combined 60-plus points a game. And then they need wing defenders. They got a rim protector. I like the guy Mamu. I was going to call him Sandro Mamu. I was going to call him a kid. He's 27, but he still trends up a little bit. He can shoot as a stretch element. He shot like 38, 39% from 3. And Grimes and Sexton are proven scorers at times, can both shoot deep. Grimes was down to like 33% last year, but Sexton generally has been a little above 40%. So I thought those were pretty good additions. And I will say this, the other trolling thing that goes on, I want to explain to people, hopefully you can, not to sound arrogant, but hopefully you don't take the bait because people love to do this one as well. The Lakers just spent, when you bring in Mamu, Kessler, you re-sign Reeves, Sexton, and Grimes. The Lakers just agreed to $446 million in deals. Do you guys understand what teams spend as a roster? The total output for the top 10 teams is an average of about $220 million a year. So over 6 years, that's what, like $1.3 billion? Someone has to get the money. Now, you can argue, hey, these aren't the right guys, but let's not, because what happens with the NBA is people forget, it's not the NFL with 50,000 guys on the roster. It's not baseball with 26 or 25 up. There's 13, 14, 15 guys you're paying. They're going to dole out $200 million. The average salary on a team, Jeff, is like $23 million a guy. So there's going to be guys who make $35 million, and sometimes you look at it and you're like, whoa. I mean, frankly, it got me the other day with Zach LaVine. I was like, oh, he opted in for $49 million. Oh, okay. So money is going to be spent. And I'm sure over the next couple of days and during the offseason, we're going to hash out, and especially during the NBA Summer League, the quality of the money, the quality of the players they got for the money. But don't be shocked that they just spent a bunch of money. You have it. You have to spend it.
And this is part of the reason I'm so aggravated with the baseball CBA talk. If you're a fan and your team is spending money, why do you care?
Yeah.
If you say they should spend their money differently on a different player, that's one thing. But if you're just openly complaining about the amount of money your team is spending, don't do that. It's not your money. It's not your money. Like, who cares? But again, if my big issue and this goes for everybody in the West. This goes for everyone in the West. I don't think that anyone is close to San Antonio or Oklahoma City. And I don't think there's a single move that can happen. And this includes LeBron going to Golden State, even if somehow Anthony Davis were available and were able to go to Golden State with him, and it was the three of that, Curry, LeBron, and Davis, and whatever else they have. I don't think there's anyone that's close to those two teams.
But you do realize what you're efforting is trying to get close to get within hailing distance, so that in a series you can compete. And then, this is reality. Those two teams are really good. You can also bank on the fact that part of this is the war of attrition, and year to year, you don't know what Spurs team and what OKC team you're getting, so you can't just go, hey, they're going to be good for 8 years.
Sure.
Let's not try. That's why what the Jazz are doing is very interesting. They're balancing both parts of it. Hey, we got a bunch of picks for Kessler. Listen, reports are Ainge was willing to go to like $28 million a year on Kessler. The Lakers gave up assets, and they're paying him $32.5 million. So in any era where there seems to be a dominant organization, I've heard this forever, like, why even try? Well, here's the great thing. The last 8 years, there's been 8 different champions. So I think we've had a bunch of cases where it's like, hey, why even try with the Warriors? Well, eventually they faded. After last year, why even try? OKC is going to be awesome. Well, here come the Spurs, and now the Knicks freaking win
the championship. Look,
if you put yourself in a position to at least be a top 12 team in basketball, then you got a shot.
Sure, but I just don't think for this upcoming year there was any move that could realistically help. Again, injuries happen. So, like, if SGA goes down for an extended period of time at the wrong time of the year, same deal with, Wemby. This was the first season Wemby completed.
Right.
So the injuries happen. Like, that can change things for sure. But if health is correct for those two teams, there's no excuse that that's not the Western Conference final matchup again. And look, as this year proved, the team whoever comes out of East can beat either of those teams. And quite frankly, if Halliburton didn't get hurt against Oklahoma City, it could have been 2 massive upsets in a row from the Eastern Conference team.
On the way back, an important Pac-12 football note to mention, kind of puzzling, and also the Aces game last night in the Commissioner's Cup. No A'ja Wilson, competitive, but they lost.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
So some news today that's UNLV related. First of all, we're talking at the beginning of the show that the Mountain West Conference, of course, is in Las Vegas. The Pac-12 tournament. Did I say Mountain West Conference is in Las Vegas? Mountain West Conference tournament for basketball, men's and women's, is still in Las Vegas at the Thomas & Mack. The Pac-12 split off, disloyal 5, new conference, new branding. That conference tournament will also be in Vegas, probably competing head-to-head. If you don't know about the new Pac-12, it's led on the basketball side, men's front, by Gonzaga. And then who? Utah State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Boise State, who fancies themselves a good basketball program. They're going to have a tournament that has a double bye situation, which we both think is a little bit odd. And it's shortchanging in the conference, but Jeff threw it out there earlier. Maybe they just feel like, hey, there's no point in pretending anymore. These are mid-major conferences, so why risk the top 2 teams in the regular season? If there is gap, if there is space between 1 and 2 and then 3 on down, why risk having those teams upset in a round of 8? So whoever finishes first and second, I have a feeling that's going to be one of those leagues that's top-heavy, and the top 4 teams are all going to be lumped together, and then 2 are going to get a double bye, and 2 will not.
Gonzaga, again, I think it's also a little bit of placating to Gonzaga as well. I know you said that Dutcher brought this up a few.
Right, he brought it up in the Mountain West
Brought it
Conference.
up in the
But they
Mountain
were
West
incredibly
Conference,
arrogant.
but
They have to know that right now they're slightly behind what Gonzaga.
But
has been.
Gonzaga, but this is look, and if you and I have to give the new Pac-12 a little bit of credit for this. If what I said is actually why they did this, if they realize, hey, we're not a power conference league, we're on par with the Mountain West. They probably look at being better than the Mountain West,
Yes.
but we're on par with mid majors. We need to make sure that our top 2 teams that are always look, Gonzaga is always going to be an NCAA tournament quality team at a minimum, and in their best years are going to still be championship contenders. San Diego State, same deal. At least they think so with that one title game appearance in 23. And look, Utah State and Colorado State have. Look, it'll be interesting because Utah State's changing their coaching, has a coaching change again. But Colorado State has a really good coach in charge in Ali Farouk-Manesh. So there are a lot of things that could help this league moving forward. And maybe they'll get on a different level and they'll get scrapped. But for now, I think it's good self-awareness that they did what they did.
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
Let down in the Commissioner's Cup final last night. Liberty take on the Aces. Aces without Asia Wilson. Aces within hailing distance, but fall in the game. But I did think one of the positive signs is that Kennedy Carter now in a couple of games in a row has played pretty good minutes and back to scoring. And frankly, in this league, I don't believe the Aces are the favorite without a healthy Kennedy Carter. You know that Nafisa Collier is starting to work towards coming back. When she's back, are the Lynx the favorite? Especially considering they were handed the best player in the WNBA draft because the Wings botched it.
Yes.
Olivia Myles is awesome.
Yes, they're the favorites. Minnesota's absolutely the favorites because if you're 15-4 without your best player, and I know there'll be people who will upset the apple cart. It's Fee Collier. Like she is a player, even though ball dominant, that will flow in perfectly because on top of being arguably being one of the 3 best players in the league, she is also one of the best team players in the league. So I think that the Minnesota has to be looked at as the favorite. I think the most amazing thing in this league right now is that Golden State is doing it again, which is another testament to Becky Hammond's coaching tree as well, with how well coached that team is 13-7.
William Hill odds for the champion of the WNBA come season's end. Lynx are 2-1 right now.
They should be the favorite.
Liberty are plus 310. Aces are third choice at plus 325. Then it drops off to the Angel Reese-led Atlanta Dream. Not so much, but she's had her moments. They're 8-1. Dallas with all those good young players, 14-1. You mentioned Golden State, 15-1, and the Caitlin Clarks are 18-1. And then there's a big drop off. Then the bottom half of the league has not come out of the gates looking super strong, and now Kelsey Plum is down for the Sparks, so they are 80-1 to win the title. All right, what do we got here? 1-0, 53rd minute. We got multiple players down.
Ref has no control over the game as he hasn't the whole way. So.
You like soccer a lot more than I do. Does it not get maddening with the players on the ground all the time?
You know what? I've gotten used to it. So it's like, you know what? It doesn't bug me as much. I have more of an issue when you have an official that just has no control, and it's happened way too much in this tournament. So, and it's happening here tonight.